As I headed home from school for the Thanksgiving break, darkness had already fallen by 7 p.m., a perennial pet peeve of mine due to feeling like daylight was cut short. I often sensed I missed out on the day when night fell by the time my classes ended. Tonight's journey wasn't a solitary one. The freeway was congested with fellow students, also homeward bound. Frustrated with the stop-and-go traffic, I opted to exit the highway, seeking solace in country roads that skirted around the worst bottlenecks. Spotting a road running parallel to the freeway, I veered off, eager for a smoother ride. Off I went, venturing along this new route. It was a relief to drive without the constant interruptions of traffic and lane changes. Engaging cruise control, I glided along the undulating terrain, traversing the shadowy farmlands illuminated solely by the moon, stars, and my headlights. However, my serene journey took an abrupt turn when the farmlands gave way to dense forest, plunging me into darkness devoid of celestial guidance. An unsettling feeling crept in. The obscurity stirred unease within me. Fear of unexpected encounters with deer or missing a sharp turn weighed on my mind. Not a single car had passed since I ventured onto this isolated country road, prompting me to consider switching to high beams for added visibility. With my right hand on the gear shift, I cautiously reached out with my left to flick on the bright lights. I became paralyzed. A chill ran through my veins. My stomach sank. My limbs grew numb. I was immobile, incapable of thought or breath. My body rebelled against me. I willed myself to move, begged my limbs to respond, but they remained motionless. An inexplicable urge gripped me, compelling me to glance at the rearview mirror. I had no idea what awaited me there, yet an overwhelming compulsion to look consumed me. Summoning every ounce of resolve, I fought to raise my gaze to the mirror. Each moment felt interminable as my eyes traversed my car's interior until, at last, they met the mirror's surface. A figure, seated in the rear of my car, was what appeared to be a young woman garbed in a dress. My mind went blank, unable to grasp the reality of the situation. She emitted an eerie, faint grayish glow, though not enough to illuminate her surroundings. Her untamed hair cascaded past her shoulders, and her expressionless face was adorned with freckles. Dull eyes gazed fixedly ahead. I struggled to rationalize this inexplicable scenario, my thoughts tangled in a web of countless unanswered questions. I sat there, my mind reeling, until a single question escaped my lips. In hushed tones, I murmured, "Who are you?" At the sound of my voice, her gaze locked onto mine. It was piercing, penetrating, leaving me unable to do anything but return her stare. Hers were hollow, emotionless eyes that seemed to drain a part of me into their soulless depths, turning the icy chill in my veins into a fine powder. It felt like eons passed before I could find my voice again. "Who?" I began, but my voice faltered, fading into silence once more. Her unwavering gaze held mine, a moment of quiet hanging between us. "Am I frightening you?" Her lips barely moved. Her eyes never wavered. I barely caught her words, as if carried away by the wind. My thoughts remained entangled, struggling to grasp her inquiry. I wanted to respond, to admit that yes, she was indeed terrifying me, in the hope that she might cease. Yet, amidst the chaos in my mind, a persistent question surfaced. "Are you a spirit?" I murmured. Her unwavering stare delved deeper into mine, probing further. A chill enveloped my body, yet clarity emerged within my mind. "Does my being here unsettle you?" she inquired once more, her gaze resolute. Meeting her eyes, I responded, "No." A moment of silence ensued. Our eyes locked in a steadfast connection. The maze in my mind began to unravel, granting clarity to my thoughts. "I fear you, yet your presence doesn't alarm me," I whispered. Her head tilted slightly, but her gaze remained fixed on me. My voice gained strength. "Your presence, in a strange way, brings solace. You've shown me there's existence beyond death." I'm uncertain what it entails, but the assurance of something is comforting. Anything. Her stare persisted. Was this your appearance in death? I questioned, meeting her gaze. Her nod came leisurely, almost imperceptibly. You were stunning. A hint of sorrow flickered in her eyes, fleeting before the void reclaimed them. Our gazes locked, and she raised her arm, pointing ahead. Pay attention to your path. In that moment, I regained control of my body. Following her pointed direction, I spotted a sharp turn ahead, surrounded by dense forest. Reacting swiftly, I slammed on the brakes and maneuvered the wheel. The back of the car skidded erratically as I struggled to regain traction, ultimately spinning a full 360 degrees before screeching to a halt, narrowly avoiding a collision with a tree. I remained in my seat, hands clenched tightly on the wheel, breathing heavily as if I'd just finished a marathon. Recalling the girl's presence, I whipped my head around to glance at the back seat, finding it empty. Turning back, I slumped against the seat. Perhaps I'd drifted off while driving. It had all seemed like a surreal dream. After pausing to catch my breath and offer gratitude to any guardian angels, I restarted the car and merged back onto the road. As I drove, my right hand on the gear shift, I extended my left to flick on the bright lights. With a satisfying click, the forest ahead was bathed in my car's illumination. A few 100 feet along, a yellow road sign came into view, bearing the words, "Caution, High Accident Area." I chuckled wryly at the belated warning. However, nearing the sign, I noticed additional writing scrawled in red paint at the bottom.